welcome to I24 News Sports Weekend Edition, covering some of the best stories from the world of sports this past week. We begin with football and with Barcelona, who is enjoying a spectacular run on all fronts. They've conquered the top spot in La Liga for the first time since November. They've also qualified to the Spanish Cup final, and following their big win over City in Manchester, they seem to be heading to the final 8 in the Champions League. Lies Barenbaum and Michael Friedman with the story of the happy days for the club from Catalonia.
Barcelona has had an exceptional week. The team will go to the final of the Copa del Rey thanks to a big win against Villarreal, and has just beat Rayo Vallecano 6-1 in La Liga. Barcelona qualified for the final stage of the Copa del Rey by winning 3-1 in both legs against Villarreal. And midfielder Sergio Busquets was taken off the pitch due to injury. The Catalan club will play in the finals against Athletic Bilbao in late May. Despite this victory, the manager of the Blaugrana is most focused on the upcoming fixtures.
We'll play the final against a dangerous rival. We started thinking a few days before. For now, we do not concentrate on the Copa del Rey. We put all our attention on La Liga and the Champions League. These are the two competitions for which we must fight and win the title. It will be difficult because of all the other very high-level teams that have their chances.
After its impressive victory over Rayo Vallecano, the Catalan club returned to the head of La Liga for the first time in 4 months. An accomplishment achieved in part thanks to the failure of bitter rival Real Madrid, who lost to Bilbao 1-0. In front of 87,000 spectators, the Barca fans watched their team finish the game 10-10 after Tito and Dani Alves were sent off. True to himself, the great Leo Messi provided another hat-trick for his supporters, and the Argentinian now finds himself on par with Cristiano Ronaldo with 30 goals in La Liga. And even more impressive, after 38 games played in all competitions, he has scored a whopping 63 goals. Thanks to the Xavi-Iniesta duo, Luis Enrique has allowed his men to hold the ball, something he anticipated prior to the match.
We even need the ball to defend ourselves, to have the ball and to have it in our opponent's area as far away as possible from our own goal, to put pressure as much as we can. Those are our weapons, to have the ball on our side of the pitch.
But the man of the match was surely Luis Suarez after the Uruguayan recently found his pace. He opened the match with a goal and finished as well. In total, he has been involved in 18 goals in his last 15 games played. And after Barca beat Manchester City 2-1 in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, the team looks hungry to achieve the treble this season.
Messi and Neymar fans throughout Europe are delighted with their success at Barcelona, but their fans back home are already looking forward for their next big challenge. As soon as the season ends, the Argentine superstar and the Brazilian wonderboy, along with many other South American players, will join their national teams to play in the 2015 Copa America. The oldest competition in international football is now less than 100 days away, and judging by what we have seen from these teams in the World Cup this past summer, there's clearly a lot to look for.
Wild crowds rallying around national heroes. Not the World Cup, but the world's oldest international football tournament. The best football players from across the globe in Latin America's mighty 4-yearly clash. 12 teams will battle it out for Copa America 2015 in Chile from June 11 to July 4. Argentina, Brazil and host Chile are favorites. But not far behind are Colombia and previous winner Uruguay, the most successful contender with 15 titles. But the side will miss star player Luis Suarez, who is still serving a ban from international matches after an infamous biting incident during last year's World Cup in Brazil. This leaves some teams with a dilemma.
Here's a random example in a hypothetical situation. Argentina with Messi or without Messi. There's a difference. That's why not having Suarez is going to make the challenge that much greater.
Global greats like Brazilian captain Neymar will also take to the field. Colombia's James Rodriguez, Lionel Messi, and of course Chile's own Alexis Sanchez will all travel from the European clubs to compete in their national colours. Spread across 8 cities, group stages will kick off the Copa and a knockout phase will determine the victor. The Chilean capital Santiago's National Stadium will host the opening and closing matches. Original grandstands recall the country's dictatorship 40 years ago, when this stadium and others were used as concentration camps for political prisoners. But today, Chile is on a different path altogether. Peaceful and fighting its way from poverty to a better life. The football bonanza will be a platform to show just how far the country has come.
When we think of sports in Africa, the first thing that comes to mind is long-distance running. Football is also popular throughout the continent. One thing you would not expect to find in Africa is high-level cycling, but that may be about to change. The sport commonly seen as characteristic of Western Europe and North America is gaining more and more supporters throughout Africa, and a major milestone will be reached this coming summer as the first African team in history will compete in the most prestigious race there is in the world of cycling.
For these cyclists, training has gone up a gear in 2015. Their team, MTN Quebecer, will be the first ever African team to participate in the Tour de France. Each of these riders hopes to be one of the 9 selected to compete with the stars of the cycling world come July. For the organisers of the tournament, it's a PR message, an open invitation to the world, and the coaches are convinced their athletes are up to the challenge.
It's marketing, it's clever marketing, but I also think that the riders that will compete at the Tour de France will be competitive. They've showed themselves that they are good in the Vuelta a España, so I can't see it being a problem.
The team has a few experienced European riders in its numbers, but more than half are African, hailing from Eritrea, Ethiopia and South Africa. And while team manager Douglas Ryder has no illusions of coming home with a yellow jersey, he is hoping his cyclists will win a few of the race stages.
Our African riders are really good at climbing. They're very young, very light, very strong riders that can go up the mountains easily. So we'll focus the African riders in our team on the second part of the Tour de France and the mountains. And then the first part we'll focus on with our European riders in the classics type racing on the cobblestones in France and in northern Europe to try and do well there.
Young hopeful Kamani Dlamini is one of the team's rising stars. He finished second in the under-23 category of a recent national time trial. And at only 19 years old, he has his sights set on bigger challenges.
My hopes for the future is to also try and ride the Tour de France one day. Well, that's my biggest dream, and maybe Olympics.
The invitation has given miles of motivation to this young team, all hoping to be pioneers in a new African era of this global sport.
And just like cycling in Africa, baseball is becoming more and more popular here in Israel. The sport is also trying to make a change. A new initiative brings Arab and Jewish kids together. While they play baseball, they also learn the value of sportsmanship and respect. Michael Friedman brings us the encouraging story of Baseball Lekulam, baseball for all.
Sports have always been a vital tool for bringing people together, and while baseball is not the premier sport in Israel, it is finding a way of uniting Arabs and Jews. Baseball Lekulam, also known as Baseball for All, is a new initiative that emerged from the joint effort of the Israel Association of Baseball and Play Global, a non-profit organization that teaches baseball to youth in conflict areas. 30 children aged between 12 and 14 came together from Ramla and Modi'in, and for many, it was the first time they ever played the game. The National Director of Baseball in Israel, Nate Fish, believes it's a great opportunity for them to find a new common experience through the game.
I think there's some built-in educational values in baseball that other sports don't have. It's really a game about respect. It's about dealing with failure and working with your teammates and things like that. So there's lots of educational tools within baseball that we can use to sort of teach the kids.
The Arab and Jewish children were placed together in mixed groups to learn the basics of baseball. The emphasis of the practices and games allowed them to learn the rules and fundamentals of the game as well as sportsmanship. They were given guidance every step of the way and got to learn a new sport, which is Play Global's goal. The organization works towards developing teamwork and providing children with fun on the field. The executive director was especially pleased with how the kids built relationships so quickly.
It's been great. We've been out on the field now for a couple of hours, and you've probably seen yourself, there's a whole lot of smiles. They learn the game together and learn to fail together and learn to succeed together. So it's been a lot of fun, and hopefully we're starting to develop some bonds.
The lead educator of the program is Amala Bousif, who holds a PhD and has extensive experience working on coexistence in Israel. While the children come from two different cities, only a short distance from one another, neither have any connection with their counterparts. But with this remarkable program, trust can be built.
When they spend here one night together and play baseball, all their image about the coexistence and what is the other is and who is the other is will be different. I think those kids will not think that the other is the enemy, as other kids think that Arab is the enemy or the Jewish are the enemy. No, we can share life together and we can live together in peace, in reality.
After the weekend, the kids had bright smiles and learned a lot about one another and the sport.
It was fun. I learned how to play a little, and I learned the rules of the game.
As the future of Israel lay in the hands of the children, further programs that unite one another can be the best solution for peace. And this new and enjoyable game may provide that tool. America's national pastime is now entering the hearts of the Israeli kids.
And now it's time to look at this week's events in the NBA. And joining me here is our NBA analyst, Danny Swibel. Hi, Danny.
How you doing today?
Hi, fine. Thank you for coming. Danny, in the past 2 weeks, we talked about the Eastern Conference. Now let's go West. If we go West, Russell Westbrook, the man is just giving us triple-doubles on demand. You know, he just steps on the court, triple-double, that's it.
It's absolutely ridiculous. You know, NBA commentators are finding out it's hard to find new words every day in, day out to describe the guy. Impressive, spectacular, stupendous. I mean, you could only keep saying the same things over and over because the guy is doing it game in, game out. I mean, he's averaging triple-doubles every game. And it hasn't just been this 7-game span. It's been over the course of the month that his numbers are right there.
It started in the All-Star, I think. I mean, when he was the MVP, just nailing everything.
Without his partner in crime Durant there, I mean, he's really stepping up and being the leader that people had a doubt that he was. I mean, if you saw that Toronto game, not only did he have 30 points and 11 rebounds, and some of those rebounds he was getting up his own missed shot and then taking it back in, but 17 assists. It's insane. So he's definitely taken it to the rest of his team, making them better, again, in place of Durant. The numbers just keep going up and up. It's ridiculous. He actually, over a 5-game span, has compared to the great Oscar Robertson, who's doing these numbers in the 60s. So this is something that we haven't seen in the NBA for a long time, well, except for Michael Jordan.
Now, you mentioned the fact that he does it without Durant. You would think, well, when Durant comes back, these guys will explode. But we've seen in the past, it's not always like that. When one superstar returns, it's the other superstar may fade away a bit.
Yeah, we're gonna see these numbers naturally go down because Westbrook won't have to do it all.
They can't play with 2 balls at the end of the day.
That's it. And the thing is, you wouldn't want Westbrook to have to do everything like this, game in, game out, because it puts his chances to get an injury that greatens them. And to tell you the truth, that when these players are getting these big numbers, the team's not always winning. When Michael Jordan actually got all those triple doubles back in 1989, the Bulls were actually under 500 at that time. So it puts a lot of strain on this one player. They'll be able to balance it out a little bit. What usually happens is Durant starts off with the first quarter, Westbrook second and third quarter, and Durant finishes it. So they'll definitely want to be back playing with each other. But I'm happy that Russell Westbrook has got his moment in the sun because they're talking about him being the MVP.
Now, for the moment, as it seems right now, Oklahoma City may face Golden State, the leaders in the West. What a series that will be. Now, Golden State, we don't see them as title contenders. Are we wrong with Klay Thompson, with Steph Curry? Maybe they are title contenders.
I mean, I think they are definitely title contenders. Who's saying they're not title contenders? The Splash Brothers. I mean, they are just spectacular, and they're just getting better, especially with the addition of the coach, Kerr, Steve Kerr, my former Bull. They're definitely playing
tip-top. Something about winning championships, this guy.
That's right, and the thing is, he actually said in one of the huddles in the during game time, he was saying, okay, you know what, just keep stepping up the pace and see what you can do on defense. Because as we know, in the West Coast, sometimes defense is a little lacking. Defense is very important to his team, and obviously the offense is already there, but he wants the more well-rounded ball. And with these guys continuing to do it game in, game out, that's why Steph Curry has been talked about as another MVP candidate, and I could see that.
These are two guys you do not want to leave open behind the arc. No, sir.
Way. And can you imagine in the first round if it was OKC and it was Golden State? It would almost be unfair because Oklahoma City started off 3-12 to start the season because of all the injuries.
But ever since, they've just been going great.
That's right. They're playing playoff ball. This is exactly what it is, playoff ball. So it would be like...
That would be a series to look for. Danny Swibel, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
And that's it for this Weekend Edition. Don't forget you can watch this and every other show on our website at i24news.tv. Us on Facebook and on Twitter. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.